Hello and welcome. Federal government secures another court injunction seeking to stop organized labor from embarking on its nationwide protest and strike, but the union says no going back. Police parade 17 suspects, including teachers and school principals, for alleged examination malpractices. President Muhammadu Buhari receives re-elected Ondo State Governor Godwin Obaseki, opens up on how he instructed the IGP to ensure a free and fair election in Edo. And Mali swears in 70-year-old former defense minister as president 5 weeks after overthrow of President Ibrahim Boubacar Keita. Plus, we'll have business and sports, and later on news from our studios in London.
On business news tonight, NNPC signs monetization agreements with Sterling Oil Exploration and Energy Production Company Limited for its fully operated oil mining lease 143.
On sports news tonight, UFC star Conor McGregor reveals he's in talks to fight boxing legend Manny Pacquiao in the Middle East.
The face-off between the federal government and the organized labor continues over their planned strike and protest against the recent increase in the pump price of petrol and electricity tariff. Today, the federal government again obtained a fresh order barring the Nigerian Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress from embarking on their strike, scheduled to commence on Monday, September the 28th. Justice Ibrahim Galadima of the National Industrial Court, sitting in Abuja, again issued the restraining order following an ex parte application by the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation. This is coming barely 24 hours after the same judge made a similar restraining ex parte order in favor of a civil society group, Peace and Unity Ambassadors Association, on Thursday. The acting director of the Department of Civil Litigation of the Federal Ministry of Justice, Mrs. Maimuna Shiru, and Mr. Tijani Ghazali led the federal government's team, who moved the ex parte application that was later granted by Justice Galadima. The NLC and TUC had jointly declared a nationwide strike billed to start on Monday to press for the reversal of the recent hike in petrol pump price and electricity tariff. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Labour Congress is insisting on going ahead with the planned protest and the industrial action as it asks its members to gather at the Unity Fountain in Abuja for a mass rally scheduled to commence at 7 a.m. on Monday, September the 28th. The NLC said in a statement by its General Secretary, Emmanuel Ugwaja, that all national leaders of affiliates should mobilize at least 2,000 of their members to the Unity Fountain, Abuja, for the mass rally. The statement adds that the union members will also gather in Lagos at the same time, while all presidents and general secretaries have been asked to lead the protest. Away from the planned strike, 17 suspects, including some school principals and teachers, have been paraded by the police over examination malpractices. Police authorities say the suspects were arrested for aiding and abetting exam malpractices in Bauchi, Kano, Rivers, and Nasarawa states. The police are, however, appealing to parents and guardians to desist from such crimes.
Examination malpractice has become rampant in Nigeria, and the menace continues to degrade the standard and quality of education in the country. While the cases of malpractice is on the rise, security agencies and government officials continue to press their readiness to stem the tide. This parade by the police is one way to show that they are determined to curb the problem.
INEC officials and leadership worked very hard with the Nigeria Police Force during the last August/September WAEC examination that was conducted across the country to fish out all persons that are perpetrating or aiding the perpetration of examination malpractices.
The suspects were arrested in Rivers, Kano, Nasarawa and Bauchi states. An official of the West African Examination Council gives details of how the suspects were apprehended.
Those we trusted with our question papers, those who were nominated by ministries of education in different states, they were the ones, after we gave them question paper, maybe at 9 a.m. for an exam for 9:30, they stopped to take pictures and put on websites and WhatsApp groups.
Some of the suspects confessed that they committed the crime.
A young man brought some answers to the school, and then I didn't have an Android phone, so I had to borrow an Android phone from a colleague in the office. And then the young man, he sent it, and the young man left, went to some other school, and he was intercepted by the WAEC official, and he was taken to the police. They now saw from the police station, they saw the trace of what he sent to my phone, and then that was how they got to my school, and then I was arrested.
While assuring that the suspects will soon be charged to court, the police are asking for the cooperation of parents and guardians, as well as teachers, to reduce the menace of examination malpractices in the country.
The federal government has approved the immediate deportation of 10 Egyptians and 7 Sri Lankans for various offences, including violation of their entry conditions. A statement by the Nigeria Immigration Service says the deportation order was signed by the Minister of Interior, Rauf Aregbesola, in pursuant to Section 45 of the Nigeria Immigration Act of 2015. The minister also signed the deportation order of 2 others to France and India, who were found to be involved in activities that could undermine the security of Nigeria and violate the conditions of their entry into the country. To politics now, and it appears a solution is on the way regarding the crisis rocking the All Progressives Congress in Ekiti State, as the National Working Committee of the party has ordered all aggrieved members to put an end to all purported suspensions. The party said in a statement by its Deputy National Publicity Secretary, Yekini Nabina, that the actions are a nullity, as the party's National Secretariat is yet to receive communication from the state chapter on the purported suspensions. The statement adds that Governor Kayode Fayemi remains the leader of the party in Ekiti State, while the APC Ekiti State Working Committee, led by Paul Omotosho, remains the authentic, valid, and duly recognized executive. It insists there is no faction or division in the state's chapter. The statement reports of the suspension of Governor Fayemi by a group led by Senator Tony Adeniyi shortly after a special advisor to the president, Babafemi Ojudu, was suspended alongside 10 other members of the party in the state. Meanwhile, the governorship candidates of the People's Democratic Party in the next month's governorship election in Ondo State, Eitayo Jegede, is promising the people of the state that if he's elected as governor, he'll solve the long-standing problem of lack of electricity in parts of the state by creating small power stations to boost power generation. He was speaking during his campaign tour of Odigbo local government area.
The campaign team of the People's Democratic Party is back on the road as it seeks to woo voters from all over the state ahead of the October 10 governorship election. Having wrapped up his campaign in Akure North, the candidate of the PDP, Eitayo Jegede, is now in Odigbo, one of the biggest local government areas of the state, campaigning with his running mate, Boluga Ikengboju. The residents of these communities are predominantly farmers. It's not every day they get such visitors, and so they stay back to welcome their guests.
He has proven to us convincingly that he is up to the task, that he can turn these states around. And that one enough has convinced us that we should vouch our support for him. And that's exactly what we are seeing now.
His plans for the local government area are quite clear. Perpetual darkness will be over in the various communities as he promises to establish small power stations to boost electricity.
There are a lot of government investments in this community. Ayeson, Ararobiobu, and we notice that they don't have lights. For us, we'll tackle the issue of light once and for all, by God's grace. We'll create small pockets of stations that will give the community some lights. And if there are outstanding debts to be paid by government to the disco agencies, we'll pay by the grace of God. In all this, we need the cooperation of the people. The people of this town, Ayeson, Ararobiobu, must also enjoy a good life.
The party sees itself as popular in Ondo State and well acceptable to the people. It hopes to leverage on this and a vow to revamp the state's economy to turn voters.
Eyitayo represents the new PDP, the new progressive, the new energy, the new hope, the new aspiration. That's what he represents. We're going to vote for him, and you will see that there is nothing called power of incumbency, because Buhari has said there will be free and fair elections.
With each major area toured in Odigbo is an assurance from the PDP that it's taken over power from the APC and will replicate the victory recorded in Ondo State and more recently Ondo State come October 10, 2020.
In the meantime, President Muhammadu Buhari has affirmed that his desire is to ensure that innocent Nigerians do not suffer regardless of party affiliation. The president was speaking when the Ondo State Governor Godwin Obaseki led his deputy Philip Shuaibu and other party supporters to the State House on a thank-you visit. Governor Obaseki said he was at the State House to thank the president for creating a level playing field for the people of Ondo State to freely vote for their choice candidates, thereby deepening democracy. He also said he would not return to the APC and made comments on godfatherism.
Deputy Governor of Ondo State and his spouse.
Mr. President said that he wants to leave a democracy that is built on integrity. It's built on accountability. That is built on hard work. Those were his words, and I subscribe totally to them. It will not show integrity. It will not demonstrate someone that has any ethical foundations or moral foundations to do what you've asked about. I couldn't have contested on a party, won on that party platform, and then consider moving to another party. It's not a good thing to do. It's not the right thing to do, and I'm sure you will not encourage me to do that. In the case of godfathers in our politics, I have said in several fora that the whole concept of godfatherism is very dangerous to our democracy. And that's why when we came into the political fray in 2006, 2007, the mantra then was to make sure that we get rid of godfathers from our political life. And the reason is simple. You see, the godfather has no constitutional responsibility. The godfather acts outside of the Constitution, and he now controls people who are constitutional players. So if we allow that sort of situation to continue, it will be worse than military rule, where people who have nothing at stake, who have no checks and balance on them, can just arbitrarily decide that this is the way the Constitution should be interpreted or the constitutional players should operate. That's why that concept is wrong. So whoever, if I become, God forbid I become a godfather, I should be dealt with accordingly, because it is dangerous to the concept of democracy.
In part two, after the break, activities marking Nigeria's independence anniversary begin with national Jamaat prayers in the nation's capital, Abuja. That's in a moment. Do join us again. Now, still savouring the victory of the People's Democratic Party in the Ondo State governorship election, the River State Governor Nyesom Wike says his party will repeat the Edo experience in Ondo State come October the 10th. The governor, however, explains that unlike in Edo State, where, according to him, the voters moved against godfatherism, the issue in Ondo State is about performance. Governor Wike, who stated this on our breakfast show, Sunrise Daily, insists that if the Independent National Electoral Commission follows modalities used in the Edo elections, then he's confident of victory by the PDP.
If INEC played the same role they played in Ondo and Edo, and security agencies play the same role they played in Edo, I can assure you that PDP will win that election. But it's very obvious. You see, look, Nigerians are tired. Nigerians are tired. Promises and promises and promises and promises of the party. Nobody's seen anything. If you go to Ondo, you know that the will of the will is against the incumbent governor. The kind of resilience I saw in Edo State, I've never seen it in any state. That is to tell you, look, we are tired of this. Now, in Ondo, it has to do with, look, performance now. Ondo will say, look, you have promised this, you have promised this, you have promised this to us. Well, not say anything.
But this is
so
different.
it is not about fatherism issue now, as it concerns Ondo State.
And in reaction to comments by Governor Wike, the Ondo State Governor and candidate of the All Progressives Congress in the upcoming Ondo State governorship election, Rotimi Akeredolu, says the people of Ondo State will not allow Governor Wike to play godfather in the state's election scheduled for October the 10th. The state government said in a statement by his Commissioner for Information that the state will resist what he calls Governor Wike's imperialist approach, which, according to him, is unbecoming. The statement reads, he should know that the people of the state, who have a history of rejecting external influence and domination, will resist his attempt to play the role of godfather in Ondo State. Ondo is not Rivers. The people of the state will resist Wike here. The statement also rejected Governor Wike's claim that the APC was putting pressure on the Independent National Electoral Commission to rig the election in its favor. Now, staying with some reactions to the Edo election, the governor of Imo State, Hope Uzodinma, has praised the Independent National Electoral Commission on their conduct of the poll. The governor, who is a member of the Edo APC Governorship Campaign Committee, was a guest on our current affairs program, Hard Copy, where he said the result of the election reflects the will of the Edo people.
Yeah, the election was conducted. You know, INEC, they did a fantastic job, and the people came out and they voted. And of course, they announced their result. That does not mean that if any of the candidates in the election decides to challenge the result, of course, that is entirely their right to do or not to do. But for me, who went there to work for my party to the limit of the guideline and the responsibility given to me, I've considered my job completed. One is an incumbent governor. Two, of course, the result of the election is came out from the mood of the people. You know, recall that the events that led to the primaries of the party and the choice of candidate was that the incumbent governor was not able to get the ticket of the party, and of course, you know, he decided to fight it by crossing over to APP, PDP, the opposition party, and of course, the grievances here and there, both for and against. Then every other thing now is story. The result of the election is out.
As activities marking the country's 60th independence anniversary begin, President Muhammadu Buhari is urging religious leaders to adopt stringent measures to rid the country of religious extremism. The president was speaking through the Senate President Ahmed Lawan at the 60th Independence Day public lecture and special Jumat prayer held at the National Mosque, Abuja. He says the federal government is committed to entrenching sustainable peace as it intensifies the fight against insurgency. The president also gives Nigerians the assurance that the government will continue to work with committed and patriotic religious and traditional leaders to advance the ideals of peaceful coexistence.
I am asking all Nigerians to remain resolutely committed to our goal of a united, prosperous, and peaceful nation in the face of 21st century opportunities and challenges, aware that this can only be achieved if we remain united in purpose and action as citizens of this great country. In the spirit of this togetherness, distinguished guests, I commend the effort of our religious institutions and leaders for serving as fundamental instruments of unity among our people. At the same time, let me emphasize that the power and appeal of religion must be used constantly and only for peace building and promotion of unity among our people. This, I believe, is the natural objective of religion, to worship God and serve humanity. On this note, I am making a clarion call to our various religious communities and organizations to pursue peace and national unity. I am making this call because the simple solution to our challenges in the area of ethnic and religious intolerance, which sometimes boil over and manifest into conflicts, lies with you.
And still on the independence anniversary celebration, the Nigerian Air Force is also joining the celebrations and warns Abuja residents not to panic, as it will be undertaking a display of its jets and helicopters hovering at low level. The Air Force said in a statement that the flight displays would be within the airspace of the Federal Capital Territory and will include sights and sounds of the personnel and equipment maneuvers by the military and other paramilitary agencies. The display will climax on Thursday, October the 1st, with an aerial display at the Eagle Square in Abuja. The Lagos State Emergency Management Agency says it's aware of a chemical leakage at the Burger Cement in Wadapapa area of the state. The Director General of the agency, Dr. Olufemi Osanyitolu, in a statement by the agency's Director General, explains that it has responded to the reports of the explosion resulting from a chemical leak by activating its response plan for the truck and extinguishing the resulting fire. Security matters where 5 persons have been confirmed killed in an attack at a relaxation center in Kaduna, in that district, which is in that area of Plateau State, actually, on Thursday night. Now, the police commissioner told journalists that the police are already on the trail of the perpetrators following tips and information gathered from the residents. However, earlier today, angry youths barricaded the road and vandalized the police station, destroying the fence, breaking windows and burning motorcycles belonging to the personnel, as well as vandalizing office equipment at the station. Meanwhile, defense authorities have announced the destruction of Boko Haram hideouts and the killing of several of their fighters by the Air Task Force Operation Lafia Dole in Borno State. In a statement, defense spokesman Major General John Eneche explains that the airstrikes were executed on September the 23rd to mark the launch of a new subsidiary operation tagged Hailstorm 2. He says the operation is aimed at identifying Islamic State of West Africa province and Boko Haram targets in the Lake Chad and the Sambisa forest areas of Borno State. The NAF attack aircraft also engaged Dole near Dikwa, which was being used by the terrorists to launch attacks against surrounding areas, inflicting heavy damage on the insurgents, structures, and neutralizing several fighters. Residents of Ijuajuwon area of Lagos are still counting their losses after a gas tanker explosion wreaked havoc there yesterday. Houses as far as 100 meters from the scene of the incident were affected by the impact of the explosion, while sympathizers have been trying to come to terms with the accident. Our correspondent Olu Phillips was there and now reports.
Nothing is spared. Everything in the line of sight takes a deadly hit by the force of the explosive liquefied petroleum gas, LPG for short. It's the morning after a Sugar gas explosion here in Lagos. Business concerns of various scale also succumbed to the fierce fire. From the local noodles seller, shop owners, to this fruit seller who has just arrived with fresh consignments minutes before they became roasted fruits. Her son, smiling today, survived with no injuries.
When I saw
it, the bare bones of the gas truck that exploded is stripped, squeezed, and flung apart into any space it finds. It's one devastation too many, as the chair of the LPG Marketers Association speaks about the possible costs.
The truck was supposed to load 23 metric tons of LPG and bring it to the plant here. On getting to the plant owner was able to know that the process had been tampered with, because there's supposed to be a seal where you will see easily when it is tampered with. The man observed that and said, look, this is not correct, and we have to ascertain the correct quantity. It was in the process of that the vehicle is being taken back for reweighing, and he got hooked here.
He was trying to leave the street. He got into this space and got stuck here. While he tried to rev the car, the tires kept screeching until the impact of the truck and the dispensing unit got hooked up here. That started the initial fire until the explosion happened. Putting it more succinctly in terms of figures, we are told that
there are rumors of one of the hospitalized victims died, but we could not confirm. The number of vehicles involved is still remaining 18. Shops damaged is 40. Electric posts, about 11 electric posts have been damaged, and we've directed the Ikeja distribution company to disconnect from the damaged poles so that light can be restored in other parts of the state.
One thing we have not seen at the scene of this incident is an organized process for relief for victims, an on-site trauma center, an information desk for agencies of government, and how those who lost goods and property in this needless accident remain a concern authorities should resolve. Plus, incident management and crowd control measures which keep reoccurring and abysmally so. Olu Phillips, Channels Television News.
To agriculture now, Sterling Bank PLC has held its annual Agriculture Summit, a platform dedicated to increasing the agribusiness value chain and focusing on finding sustainable solutions to maximize the sector's output. The summit, according to the bank, is designed to create a convergence of private and public sector interests, development finance institutions, agribusiness investors, and other key players.
It is Sterling Bank's Agriculture Summit Africa, and adjusting to the current reality, the Sterling Bank Towers in Marina area of Lagos is playing host to a very limited number of guest speakers.
Our population.
Some panelists are seated in Abuja, while many others join the summit virtually.
This is one of the fantastic programs that gives governments and
this year's event is designed to reflect the current agribusiness economy with spotlights on technology funding, environment and public health constraints.
The Agriculture Summit Africa was inspired by the World Bank's projection that the agricultural sector in Africa will exceed $1 trillion within a decade if we obtain access to adequate capital, electricity, better technology, appropriate seedlings, and irrigated land to grow high-value nutritious foods.
The challenges are enormous. Now the summit is focusing on discovering practical solutions on how the continent can maximize the potentials in its agricultural sector.
AFAWA has been financed currently with about $300 million, and we hope to leverage another $3 billion.
The summit breaks into different panel sessions with professionals in the public and private sectors, leading robust conversations around funding, data, and how the country can explore the next revolution in agriculture.
The entire transformation that technology has brought is actually on the back of data, the back of information and how they are processed. So this is something that we need to recognize, because the kind of productivity improvement we need in our agriculture. We do not have 100 years to go through that learning process. What we are able to achieve, however, is to leverage on technology to be able to determine, for instance, what is the best crop to plant on a particular soil, what is the best time to plant it, what is the, when you look at the market, where are the best prices. So we make decisions that are based on data.
The bank's management says its journey into improving agribusiness did not start now, and the bank will continue to push for domestic food security and sustain long-term growth that is beneficial to the people.
Nigerian youth have been encouraged to go beyond the rhetoric and make efforts that will prepare them for greater heights. The managing director of the Nigeria Bottling Company made the call at the maiden edition of the Nigeria Youth Summit 2020, an initiative focused on positioning them for the new global economy.
We're very, very warm welcome from all the private sector partners.
The new platform for equipping youth in Nigeria kicked off with a bang, and the key speakers, including Sunday Dare, Ibukun Awoshika, Jimmy Terre, spoke from the wealth of their knowledge on how to engage the youth for future development.
And for us as a country to plan, to educate deliberately, to empower our young people with the right skills and knowledge and education.
There is something that would help you to be able to do well in spite of the fact that we live in a VUCA world. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is called leadership. For the purpose of today, I want to put it as self-leadership.
Our youth are not a problem, but a resource, to be honest. I'm a product of applying myself to opportunities that exist. And I call upon our youth. There's a need to apply yourselves to the opportunities that exist.
The managing director of the Nigeria Bottling Company, Matthew Seguin, reiterated the company's commitment to building the Nigerian youth in partnership with the public and private sectors.
So the level of partnership cannot be underestimated in ensuring Nigeria youth. I urge you to eagerly listen, take the opportunity that you have today, raise your hand, go for it. Don't stay shy, ask your question, be visible, go for it.
Other managing directors present included Oyeyemika Adeboye, who is the managing director of Cadbury, Danladi Verahin, managing director of Verad Capital, Jody Borut, who is the managing director of Nigeria Breweries, Yebetal Getachew, managing director of Coca-Cola Nigeria.
The only way we can get the youth there is if we strategically position our youth for success by addressing the real gap, which is development.
Part of the event was the launch of Nigeria's Business League for Youth, NBLY, to focus on providing the youth with credible mentors and training to help sharpen their skills. The managing directors all made commitments to that program. It is said that the youth is the future. Equipping them for that task is a task the Nigerian Bottling Company says it is not taking lightly.
For the rest of the business news, here's Teniola Shobowale.
Thanks a lot, Ijeoma. Let's start with oil matters. The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation has signed monetization agreements with Sterling Oil Exploration and Energy Production Company for oil mining lease 143. At the landmark sign-off deal at the corporation's headquarters in Abuja today, the Group Managing Director of NNPC, Melekere, says the latest development will increase the state oil firm's footprint in the downstream gas market and allow a revenue inflow of between $500 to $600 million for Nigeria. SIPCO currently produces the Okwibome blend of crude oil, which is popular amongst North America, France, Italy, the United Kingdom, Australia, South Africa, and parts of Asia due to its low sulfur and sweet crude quality. Nigeria's forex reserves have recorded its first weekly decline in 5 weeks, falling by $47.33 million week on week to $35.77 billion. At the start of the year, the external buffer stood at $38.5 billion, but fell to $33.4 billion since the COVID-19 lockdown began in March, before rising to above $36 billion after the International Monetary Fund disbursed $3.4 billion billion loans to Nigeria in May. However, the forex reserves have remained stuck at around $35 billion since July this year amid falling oil prices. Well, you'll be pleased to hear that the stock market has had one of its best weeks so far, as the NSE All-Share Index regained the 26,000 level on the last trading day of the week after a strong rally. Let's join Layo Adegoke for the details.
Thanks a lot, Teniola, and welcome to the Stock Market Report. It's been quite an impressive week for the local stock markets. This is because the bulls have strengthened their dominance against the bears amid increased appetite for stocks by investors. At the close of today's trading session, the NSE All-Share Index crossed back into the 26,000 level after surging by 1.28% on the back of strong gains from Nigerian breweries, which emerged top on the gainers list for a second consecutive day, ahead of 18 other advances, including Dangote Cement, GT Bank, and other high-value equities. That, of course, overshadowed the losses from 15 losers, which were led by 10% loss from Northern Nigeria flour mills. Take a look at the sectoral chart. There we see that 4 out of the 5 key sectors, in particular the consumer goods and banking sector, were the biggest gainers, each up by more than 2% increase. And this is because investors are finding their way back into the arms of equities markets, which they consider as more better investment alternative for the moment. As I mentioned on Thursday, traders and analysts expect that the market will end the last week of September, which is just a couple of days away, to end in the green, and will remain optimistic that this will eventually materialize next week. That's the Stock Market Report. I'm Layo Adegoke. Back to you, Teniola.
And that's Business News Tonight. I'm Teniola Shobowale. It's back to you, Ijoma.
Thanks a lot, Teniola. Now, following recommendations to the President by the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Timipre Silva, President Muhammadu Buhari has renewed the appointments of chief executive officers of agencies under the Ministry of Petroleum Resources. A statement by presidential spokesman Femi Adesina lists the Executive Secretary of the Petroleum Technology Development Fund, Dr. Bello Aliu Gusau, the Executive Secretary, Chief Executive Officer of Petroleum Equalization Fund, Ahmed Baboy, and the Executive Secretary, Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board, Mr. Simbi Wabote, as those whose appointments will be renewed by the President. The statement adds that Dr. Gusau of the PTDF is credited to have run the agency successfully in the last 4 years, keeping faith with the 7 strategic priorities he had introduced in January 2017, while Ahmed Baboy's reappointment is down to the fact that he made the Petroleum Equalization Fund a strategic player in the administration's oil and gas reforms, especially in stabilizing the supply and distribution of petroleum products nationwide. Now, the Ondo State Governor Seyi Makinde has flagged off the construction of 360 housing units at the New Town estate as part of measures to address the infrastructure deficit and promote commerce in Ondo State. The estate, which is estimated to cost about 2.5 billion naira when completed, will promote affordable housing to low and medium income earners in the state. Governor Makinde also handed over a shopping complex in Ibadan to investors who have committed to remodeling the 25,000 square meter edifice to an ultra-modern mall with a 4-star hotel.
At Jordan New Town was initiated over 3 decades ago to solve the housing needs of low and medium income earners, but the housing scheme was abandoned halfway.
There is a shortfall of about 17 to 20 million of decent houses in Nigeria.
Located on New Ife Road in Ibadan, the state capital, only a few occupants live in the estate without basic amenities that should come with such projects on a landmass that has become a haven for criminals. In fulfillment of his promise that no people-centered projects will be incomplete, Governor Seyi Makinde has revived the estate to be bigger and better.
We're flagging off the construction of 360 housing units here in Egbeda local government area. The units are made up of 2-bedroom semi-detached houses, 3-bedroom, semi-detached houses and 3-bedroom detached houses.
With all set in Ajoda town, Governor Makinde moves to one of the biggest shopping malls owned by the state government, Agbowo Shopping Complex, located opposite the main gate of University of Ibadan. The structure, which was commissioned in 1984, has been deteriorating for years over lack of proper maintenance. The rot is evident and crippling the edifice. Now, the shopping complex is set to get a new lease of life, a renovation being done to convert the moribund facility into a premium commercial real estate and a 4-star hotel through a long lease concession for 50 years and capital injection of 4.9 billion naira.
This mall was the biggest shopping mall in Oyo State, which not only generated income for the government, but also provided thousands of direct jobs for the citizenry.
The remodeled Agbowo shopping complex, when completed, will have a multi-level car park that will double as a drive-in cinema in the evening, a 10-floor 4-star hotel, 600-capacity 3D cinema, and an underground gaming arcade.
Mali has sworn in an interim president, Ba Ndao. The Soviet-trained helicopter pilot served as defense minister in the administration of ousted President Ibrahim Boubacar Keita. And here's Simon Pusey with more on this and other international news in Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. North Korea's leader Kim Jong-un has issued a rare personal apology for the killing of a South Korean official. Kim reportedly told his South Korean counterpart, Moon Jae-in, that the disgraceful affair should not have happened. South Korea has said the 47-year-old was found by troops floating in the North's waters. He was then shot dead and his body was set alight. The killing has caused outrage in the South. 2 people have been seriously hurt in a knife attack in Paris near the former offices of the satirical magazine Charlie Hebdo. A suspect has been detained in the nearby Bastille area. According to reports, a second suspect has also been arrested. The attack comes as a high-profile trial is underway in Paris of 14 people accused of helping 2 jihadists carry out the 2015 attack on Charlie Hebdo, in which 12 people were killed. Meanwhile, more than 1,000 people have defied a second night of curfew in the US city of Louisville to protest over the lack of criminal charges in the police killing of Breonna Taylor. 2 officers were shot during clashes in Louisville this week after authorities announced a grand jury had decided not to charge anyone in connection with the death of Taylor, a 26-year-old black woman shot dead in her apartment by police earlier this year. Rio de Janeiro's Carnival Parade, due to be held next February, has been postponed indefinitely. The samba schools involved in the parade had previously warned it would be difficult to organise without a coronavirus vaccine. Rio's Carnival attracts millions of visitors every year. Brazil has been one of the worst affected countries by the pandemic, with 4.5 million COVID-19 infections and more than 138,000 deaths so far. Madrid's regional government has expanded the number of areas under lockdown as coronavirus infections have increased in the Spanish capital, which has become the epicenter of a second wave. When the order comes into effect next week, more than 1 million people in the region will only be allowed to enter and exit their home zones on work, educational, legal or medical grounds. Meanwhile, authorities in the Russian capital of Moscow have told the elderly and people with chronic illnesses to remain at home from Monday amid a spike in cases. The city's mayor also recommended that as many people as possible work from home. Mali's new president is sworn into office 5 weeks after the overthrow of Ibrahim Boubacar Keita. Former defense minister Ba Ndao was picked by the coup leader Colonel Assimi Goïta to head a transitional government until elections, which are expected in 18 months' time. Colonel Goïta will be his vice president. The appointment of a civilian president was a condition for the West African regional group, ECOWAS, to lift the sanctions it imposed after the coup. Severe flooding in South Sudan has forced more than 600,000 people to flee their homes since July. That's according to the United Nations. It comes after months of torrential rains have caused the banks of the Nile to burst. The impoverished East African nation was already struggling to recover from a 5-year civil war and suffering severe food shortages when flooding hit. An African giant rat has been awarded a prestigious gold medal for its work detecting landmines. Magawa has sniffed out 39 landmines and 28 unexploded munitions in his career. The UK veterinary charity PDSA has presented him with its gold medal for life-saving devotion to duty in the location and clearance of deadly landmines in Cambodia. Of the 30 animal recipients of the award, Magawa is the first rat.
For us, it's very important also that PDSA brings the landmine problem to the attention of the wider public, because landmines still terrorize the lives of so many Cambodians and other people all over the world.
And finally, Buckingham Palace has announced that Princess Eugenie and Jack Brooksbank are expecting a baby early next year. The couple's baby will be the Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh's 9th great-grandchild. Eugenie's parents, Prince Andrew and Sarah, Duchess of York, will become grandparents for the first time. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel studios in Lagos.
Thanks a lot, Simon. On to some sports now. Here's Olumide Macaulay.
Thank you, Ijoma. Hello and welcome to Sports News. One of the biggest middleweight title fights in recent UFC history is officially set after Israel Adesanya and Paulo Costa both successfully made weight for their title clash in Abu Dhabi early Sunday morning. Undisputed champion Adesanya weighed in at 184 pounds, while Costa was a pound heavier at 185. It's the first time a UFC middleweight title fight will be contested between two undefeated fighters. Adesanya is unbeaten in 19 fights, while Costa has won all 13 of his bouts. Conor McGregor revealed on social media his boxing Manny Pacquiao next in the Middle East. According to McGregor's manager, Audi Attar, who also represents Pacquiao, McGregor is in serious talks to fight the boxing legend, but the fight isn't a done deal just yet. The boxing match is being targeted for late December or early January, with the Middle East being discussed as the likely destination. In 2017, the UFC co-promoted a McGregor boxing match against Floyd Mayweather Jr. To football, the Nigeria Football Federation has appointed Ladan Bosso as coach of the Flying Eagles, while Oladuni Oyekale and Jolimi Atun as his assistants. The Football Federation also named Fataya Mo as the head coach of the Golden Eaglets. Christopher Danjuma will lead the Falconets, while Bankole Oluokere has been confirmed as the head coach of the Flamingos. Luis Suarez has signed a 2-year deal with Atletico Madrid after passing his medical following his switch from Barcelona. Suarez joins Atletico on a free transfer after Barcelona agreed to rescind his contract with 1 year left, although Atletico will pay the Catalans up to €6 million in bonuses. Suarez is taking his first training session with Atletico and could make his debut in Sunday's home match against Granada. Meanwhile, Suarez's best mate Messi has criticized Barca's management over his departure, saying the Uruguayan didn't deserve to be pushed out the way he was. That's it on Sports News. Ijoma, back to you.
Thanks a lot, Olumide. And the main news again. The federal government today secured another court injunction to stop the organized labor from embarking on its nationwide protest and strike. But the union has asked its members to assemble for the protest on Monday. Also today, police authorities paraded 17 suspects, including teachers and school principals, for alleged examination malpractices. And Mali has sworn in 70-year-old former defense minister as president today, 5 weeks after President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta was overthrown. And that's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for staying with us. I'm Ijoma Onyato. Do have a great weekend. Try and stay safe while you do that. Good night.